This is a video all about Pleiadians and Pleiadian starseeds. In this video, we're going to go from the totally woo-woo and out there to the pragmatic, and we're going to tie it all together. Whether you're a believer or not, this is going to have something in there for you. You're going to learn all about Pleiadians, Pleiadian starseeds, and how to connect with them. We're going to cover what are higher consciousness beings, why do we reach for the stars and the stories, who are the Pleiadians, and what are they like? Also, what is their motivation? How to tune in and connect with them without getting lost. Sacred sites and locations that you can go to, life-changing experiences. How does this make your life as a human better? Let's get started. What are higher consciousness beings? This is a perspective-based question. Based on our perspective as humans, we're talking about beings or forms of consciousness that exist that are operating on a higher perspective or a more spiritually evolved perspective. We're going to go straight to the source, quite literally source. So we would call it God or source. And this, I wouldn't put this in a category as a being. I would put this more in the category of the being, as in the all is one and the one is all. If everything is an extension of God and everything is an extension of source, or everything is a son of God, everything is source. Everything is a derivative of that. And before we go deeper, I want to just note the scale over here. And we have higher consciousness and lower consciousness. And this is very much a human morality projection or a human worthiness projection that higher means better and lower means worse. And I want you just to try and erase that from your mind here and just think of everything like a web that serves its own purpose. If it didn't exist, there wouldn't be a purpose for it. The reason why there is different people on this planet and different opinions and stuff like that is everything serves its purpose. We have God, and then a derivative or a piece of that are prophets and avatars. And some very famous prophets, I'm sure you've heard of him. Jesus, that's one of them. Buddha, a derivative of that, or very closely related, are saints. And then we have archangels, which are basically like the very high level creator angels. A lot of people talk about Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Gabriel. And then we have angels. And then kind of a segue from angels is guides. You'd have like your spirit guides. You have the fire department protecting us. Those are angels. Your guides can be angels. They can be past loved ones. This does include past loved ones. They can be loved ones from other lifetimes. And now what you've all come here for. Then we have multidimensional beings, which are other forms of consciousness that have evolved completely outside of our current awareness of what has happened on this planet. We have Pleiadians, we have Arcturians, we have Syrians from Sirius, Lyrans from Lyra, all sorts of different ones, and then billions, infinite number of other ones that we don't even have names for yet. This is the point I really want to make here, which is this is you, and this is looking really wide-eyed and going, holy crap, there's a lot going on here. And different people will resonate with different things. If you truly are in resonance with something, all roads lead home because all things are an extension of source. And within any of these subjects, there are people teaching and using those subjects either to preach love and connection or to not. We're going to get into that next. This is you, and you could choose any of these. We could say they're above us, but it doesn't mean they're better than us. They just have a different perspective. And if we're headed towards ascension, which is headed towards source, then in theory, any of these, if we feel resonant, will be a wonderful perspective and help raise our vibration. And raising vibration means more connection. Number 2, why? Like, why are we doing this? Why are people so obsessed with this stuff? Why do we reach for the stars? and the stories. That's a big one. Everything is a story. People love stories because we are stories. See this little beautiful example here? This is a book, and this is your story. And your story that you're living inside of connects to your brain and to your heart. And so why is this so important to your brain? Well, it equals safety and also what you're interested in. And why is it so important to your heart? Well, your story gives you the ability in which to experience connection, but also creation. And those four things together equal expansion, experience, and love. That's why we're all doing it. We've all come here to experience our own unique version of a beautiful story as we connect with stories that have already been woven and create our own story inside of it. This life is like the most beautiful collaborative painting that could be ever done, and it's filled with love and disagreement. Because we're living inside of our story, we'll often see people, and we got these two people right here, and one will be like, my way is the only way. There's only one way. And the other person will be like, this is the only true story. They'll be like, my truth is the only truth. Yours is false. Well, here's the thing. From this person's perspective, they are correct. And from this person's perspective, they are correct. And so the point I'm really trying to hammer at here, why do we even try to appease the people who don't believe? Well, because I also want to validate them, because whatever they believe in is completely valid to them. But it doesn't have to affect my experience, my reality, and certainly doesn't have to be a threat to it. And same for you. When we realize that, yes, that is correct. This person is living inside of that story. So if we come back up to here, and I think this is a very common thing where people say Jesus is the only way. Well, for that person, that is correct. That is the path. He is the way. I actually agree with that statement very much. And I also so happen to really love Pleiadians and want to connect with them. And I would be denying a part of myself that, just feels a lot of love and joy. And then there may be someone else who's like very into New Age, and they're like, Arcturians are my thing. They're very serious and analytical. And they don't want anything to do with this. They've had bad experiences with the church. They feel no resonance with it. And so they say, this is the way, and everyone else should come to this. And it's like, well, it's working for you, and we should all be happy for that person that they're finding something in resonance with them. And this is often speaks to our own sense of tribalism. The whole point is all stories are equally valuable. All stories are equally valuable. In the eyes of Source, in the eyes of God, in the eyes of creation, that is everything, it would not exist if it did not hold value. There's not one thing in existence that is like, oh, that's more important than that other thing. Now, there may be larger pockets of consciousness that are all focused on one thing, but that doesn't necessarily make it more important. All stories are equally valuable to the holder of them. Doubling down on this, everything is perspective based. You are living inside your story. If you feel resonance with something, that is for a reason. And all paths are based on your choice. This is all choice. And your current resonance. It really has to do with your perspective. If there's certain things that you're resonating with right now, it's for a reason. And I would encourage you to follow them. And that may change throughout time. And let's be honest, it usually does. Coming back to this whole bridge, within every story, this is you in the bubble of your own story. You're trapped in your story, and you're also trapped in the options of all the stories you have available. This represents you, and this also represents the availability of every single one of these stories that is offered through angels or Pleiadians or Jesus or Buddha or anything like that. Within all of these teachings, there are people and intentions that are teaching that are either taking you closer to love or closer to fear. And very simply put, love is connection. Love is connection, and fear is separation. Whatever you choose and whatever is resonant for you. The reason I'm teaching this is, and emphasizing this, is one is to open you up to things that maybe you might have been fearful in the past. And two, it's going to really help you when you call them in and you connect. So you can be really confident that you're connecting with love and connection. Here's what you all came here for. Woohoo! Who are the Pleiadians and what are they like? Let's be honest, that's why you're watching this video. We give you a full rundown of where they're from, what they look like, their attributes, where they're seen in history, what's their motivation, and where are they at in their evolution. We're going to start with, what is the Pleiades? Pleiades, known as the Seven Sisters, even though there are more than 7 stars. I believe it is the Little Dipper. You can see it in the sky with a naked eye, if you still have good vision, especially if you go out into the country where there isn't light pollution. And we have the different stars here named. Merope, Electra, Taygeta, Maya, and so on. And when I started doing Akashic Records readings and I would get Pleiadians, I actually started to get a lot of different people who were from different stars. Taygeta and Merope were really the 2 big ones that would come through. And they would feel very differently. And they would, just as like a different country on Earth would feel very different, these places would feel very different. It's the 7 Sisters. It's a Little Dipper. It's seen with the naked eye. It's quite small in the sky. And it's seen in much symbolism throughout ancient civilizations in Greece, the Mayans, the Aztecs, African, Australian, and Aboriginal culture, even Native American culture as well. And then my favorite one is, it's perfect timing on the car. It is the Subaru logo. If you drive a Subaru, you might be Pleiadian. Their attributes, they're usually depicted, so they're humanoid. They're beautiful. They're depicted as very tall. This is I don't know if you can see it, my extremely tall and blonde stick figure here. This is my Pleiadian. And their attributes are, they're playful. They love freedom. They're flowing. They're soft. They're compassionate. They're fun. They're explorative. They're graceful. They're beautiful. If we're talking about aliens and you want to call in hot aliens, Pleiadians are your guys and gals right there. They're the best looking ones. Although I might be biased because I'm also tall and skinny as well. But beauty, elegance. They're cool. How do I put it? Not as in like slang cool, but like their energy actually feels like almost like a bubbling, cool mountain stream. Not like fire energy. It's more like air and like a cool breeze. They're creative. And then I had to put one not fully positive thing in there, which is they can be tricky. Often, like they can talk in riddles. Don't let that scare you. But we have to be totally honest that even in highly evolved beings, some polarity does still exist. I think the best example in pop culture or film is they really remind me of the elves from Rivendell in Lord of the Rings before Sauron comes and like messes everything up, when they're like happy and everything's perfect. That's like what they feel like. And the reason I think these attributes are really important is because when you tune into them, you will feel these things. Or if you see these things and you feel them deep within you, then you may have a natural connection. What is their motivation? Like, they're beings, they're motivated by something, they're self-motivated. I read this book called Earth the Living Library. It's a Pleiadian channeled book by Barbara Marciniak, I think is her last name, Marciniak. Really liked it. And there was a really powerful section in there that talked about why they want to help us. Why do the Pleiadians want to help us? Because she claimed they really see us as their children, and they are creators, and they helped create us. They helped create humans. And they're at the stage in their evolution, their spiritual evolution, where their next evolution is dependent on our creative freedom. For them to evolve, they need to set us free. They need to help set us free completely and wholly. It's kind of like you've created a toy, and now you're realizing that to take the next evolution in your life, you have to teach that toy exactly what you did. In theory, then we would get to the point where we were also creating and potentially creating societies and worlds and etc. You look at the technology, things that are changing in the world and what's happening with AI, it might not be that far off. Where are the Pleiadians at in their own evolution? And this is mostly about spiritual evolution. They are fully multidimensional, which means they're not just having a 3D experience. There's more than that. They have bodies, yes. And because of their technology and their evolution, and they don't have the level of contrast and disease and stuff that we have on this planet, they live much longer than us. And they look much better than us, much longer. I don't know why I keep saying that, but they're hot. You get the point. Their experiences and their ability to explore exist outside of an exclusively physical experience. So they aren't tied to just their bodies. They are having experiences and they're able to explore consciously, to create and interact outside of just their physical form. They are realized in their reality creating abilities with some limitation. They can't inflict on free will. Talk about people that are like master manifestors. They're like on a completely another level. It makes all of us here look like lab mice. But we're trying. So they've retained or have access to memory of past, future, and parallel lives. And this is very akin to their experiences and ability to explore outside of their physical. So essentially they're able to move into at will other physical vessels and other versions of themselves in and out. But their being in their body as a Pleiadian would be considered their home base. So it'd be like their home. They'd want to come back there over and over again. It's an autobiography of a yogi where they're able to basically teleport out or bilocate. They're able to do that as well. Yes, they can bilocate. Confirming. I called them in before this video. I told them to let me know anything else that I'm missing. And the biggest thing, if we could just sum them up in one phrase, their intention and what they are all about is to explore, have fun, and be beautiful. If there was one pocket of consciousness that God had created to do that, it's the Pleiadians. Explore, have fun, and be hot. It's pretty sick. And this is why I'm wearing the Garfield sweater for this video, because I have to honor the fun, and hopefully it makes me beautiful too. Now that you know all about the Pleiadians, what they feel like, how do you tune into them? How do you call them in? How do you communicate with them? This is how to tune in without getting lost. And just remember, these are all stories. So the deeper you go into them, the deeper you're going into a story. And we get lost in a story by thinking it's absolute and complete reality. But it's not. It's always just a story, and it always shows us what we need. But don't forget, there's an infinite number of other stories available. Just so happens that you're into this one because you're watching this video. How do you tune in? Let's just talk about some basic principles about calling things in, connecting with things spiritually, with other beings, and how to do it in a really safe way. 1, what you call in is what you get. This is all about intention. If you ask for it, you say, hey, I'm calling you in, that's what's coming. Now, whether you do that verbally or just energetically, for people who are like, hey, I want to experience some weird stuff, so I'm going to go to this graveyard. Well, that's what they're calling in. All right, so if that's what you're into, go do that, and that's someone else's video. Your general frequency, aka where you're at now, will dictate your experience. If you feel open, if you feel safe, if you feel at ease, that's what you're gonna connect with. If you feel in fear and a lot of mixed stuff, then, well, ironically, not ironically, but pragmatically, if you feel in fear, that's when you have to feel worried about opening yourself up. But we're going to have safety measures. All right. And 3, your connection is non-physical. So it's not about a show. It's all about how it feels. It is all about how it feels. And that feeling will become physical manifestation later. It starts with feeling, and it starts spiritually, and we could say mentally. And then a physical experience and interactions on that level will be available later. But it's not like you just were like, hey, Pleiadians, I want to connect with you. And then there's like a beautiful blonde sitting on your couch. It doesn't work like that yet. Number one, this is how you do it. You have to learn what they feel like. What do they feel like? That whole big list in the last section, that's what they feel like. So tune into all those things in your body. Know all those as a home base. That's what they're going to feel like. Some subs of this. Got to know what safety feels like. Setting a container or intention at the beginning. This is a safe space. I'm only inviting in Pleiadians with the highest intention and highest light. Only beings of light. But I'm also specifically calling in the Pleiadians. Great. Okay. Anything that is not of benevolence, aka love and service, is not invited into this space and doesn't belong here. Okay. Boom. Setting intention and a container. You have opened yourself up, but specifically, you haven't just said, this is an open space for whatever the heck wants to come in, even if it wants to mess with me. Don't do that. Okay. If you don't know what safety feels like, recall what safety feels like through a past story, not even related to Pleiadians or anything like that. Just get really familiar with the feeling of safety so you can use that in your home base. And this will do two things. One, it tunes you to that frequency. So that's what you're calling in. And two, if anything else happens to bubble up or slip in, which is very rare, it will feel immediately off because you know what safety feels like and you can just say no. Ask to be shown. Ask to be shown what they feel like. You're trying to figure out what they feel like and you don't know. Ask to be shown and then let it go. AKA manifest the outcome. The best way if you feel confused about something is to ask specifically, I want to know exactly what the Pleiadians feel like so I can connect with them and tune into them. And that's a great place to start. And let it go. Forget about it. In the coming days, you will be given the answer. You will feel it. You will know it. Happens every time. All right. And here's some pointers. What do they feel like? They're free. They're fun. They're flowing. They're playful. Next point. It will seem like your imagination at first, but that's why safety is so important. Not only so you can connect safely, but so you feel safe enough to surrender and connect. Because we have to get to the point where we're just listening. And this is sort of a meditative practice. Initially, it becomes a conversation, a telepathic conversation. And if you're monkey minding and going, then the conversation, it's basically a conversation where you never shut up and then you can never be spoken to. And if you're constantly like, where are they? Then again, it's like you just keep talking instead of listening. You really got to be able to call them in and just let it go and listen. All right. And the last is know that you can say no or cut the signal at any time. And this goes with anything. If anything doesn't feel right to you, you can just go, no, cut, not interested, and done. This is a lot of steps to learn what they feel like. Number 2, you got to call them in. Ask for their presence, invite them into the space. Like we said with the intention, this is a space where only benevolent beings are allowed, only highest light, anything else is not allowed in here. I feel safe. We've created that container. I'm asking for any and all available Pleiadians. I'm asking for the Pleiadians to come in that want to connect with me right now for the highest good of myself and for them and for everyone else. Great intention for the upliftment of all. They love that. We love that. Everyone loves that. It's good for everyone. So ask for them, invite them in. Be specific. Literally call them into the space. B, look for them where they are, not where they aren't. When I first started doing this, I'd call them in and then I'd look like really intently around the room, expecting, again, like a being to manifest on the couch and just pop. Well, turns out I wasn't ready for that. And you're probably not ready for that either. Look for them where they are, which is initially they're going to connect with you energetically. Listen in thought and feel. That will be the biggest part, is feel in the beginning. As those things start to grow and this is the same principle as manifestation. Again, throughout time, over time, it will become physical manifestation later. Is that resonance has to build strong enough? You're basically connecting to a resonance that is literally alien. And so it's not extremely active in your perception or your environment. But once it becomes more active, then the availability of actual full-blown physical manifestation is much more likely. And also, they're incredibly kind and very careful about not scaring the crap out of us, because when things go too far, too fast, and you're also dealing with beings that have an exponentially higher level of energy than you, even if it's love, it's so overwhelming. Anyone ever who's experienced a lot of love and then ran from it because it was too much, this is basically like the more extreme version of that. It'll just be so much that you feel like you can't handle it. The point is, baby steps are the key. C, listen, let go, stop looking, and just start feeling. And the last thing you can do is ask for signs. Ask for signs from them. I know we're so involved in our lives, in our stories, in our physical experiences, and I think most people aren't totally crazy and just like living in a world of feeling and vibration. Like they're very, like I am, they're very involved in the physicality of their reality. It feels really nice to see physical, tangible evidence. It's way easier to accept that something is actually real when you actually see it, because we're very attached to our realities. Fun bonus, ask for others who are connected to them, because it's really nice to connect with like-minded people and people who are in the same frequency. All right, this is something you're gonna wanna know. Location and tuning. Why places, we're just gonna go straight to the source, why places like Mount Shasta work. So your environment is basically like a resonant chamber. It's the frequency that you're in. It is the sort of radio station and gives your connected ability. You know, they say the 5 people you spend most time around have the biggest influence on you. So does the actual just physical environment that you're in. So I would say that, you know, going to a place that feels really heavy and challenging would make it a lot harder to connect with the Pleiadians than it would going somewhere like Mount Shasta. So there are other places around the planet. Sedona is a vortex as well, and it's a great place to connect with multidimensional beings and have all sorts of experiences. I find that the Arcturian frequency is much more present in Sedona, but on Mount Shasta, Pleiadian frequency is super easy to connect with. Some people say it's the root chakra of the planet, and then people also said the poles flip, so it might be the crown chakra now. But basically, it's one of the most powerful energy spots of the planet. It holds an incredibly high frequency, especially when you go up on the mountain. And if you are ready for it, it will feel like heaven on earth. And it's also an environment where things can physically manifest much easier because there's not as much of a jump. The environment is closer to the frequency where they're at. So when we go to a place like Mount Shasta, we match the energy around us. So it helps raise our frequency. And it's also a frequency that's very compatible with Pleiadian energy and Pleiadians. We're basically closer and more compatible with their natural frequency. So it acts as a shoehorn, a tool. So use it. And then 3, I'm just going to go for it. Shasta. I said Shasta. Shasta is a intergalactic spaceport. Just is, man. I've been there many times and I've seen a lot of things sober and had some incredibly full-blown manifestational life experiences that will change your life. And I asked for them. I said, hey, I'm ready. I called them in. There they were. So when we go to places like this, it does a lot of work for us. We can just relax. We can receive and upgrade and connect. And actually, this is a reason why I am a sacred site tour guide. Did that for a year in Sedona, and I also lead them in Mount Shasta as well. So shout out to that if that's something you're interested in. I do them as multi-day intensives now. Okay, so let's tie this back to you, how it affects your life, because this isn't just about floating away into fairyland. This is about bringing these connections into your life. You can make your life better. So galactic stuff is really about you. And this circles back around to my first point, which is it's all just a mirror and they're all just stories. So within this mirror and the stories, those of us that have themes of not belonging, desire for freedom, desire for exploration, the will or want to be more or some sort of greatness, are very sensitive, etc., very empathic, always felt like they're different kind of thing, will probably resonate with the idea of multidimensional beings or being a starseed or coming from somewhere else. And something I should mention is that if you believe that you are a starseed, you believe that you are actually a soul from one of these planets and have now incarnated in human form. These stories and these connections, these help you to learn more about yourself. And it's not just for escape, but they're just another mirror. So essentially what's happening is, like, the more we explore, everything in reality is a reflection of us and our story. So Bashar says this, we only find more of ourselves in the unknown. So can we get lost in the story? Yeah, but not permanently. So there's always something to be learned. And I think as long as we're aware and we become aware that, like, the deeper we go into something, the more we're either consciously or unconsciously, purposely or unpurposefully, controlling the limitations of our reality and our perception, and it gains an even deeper totalness, a totality to it. And as long as we're aware that, like, that's what we're doing, it's okay. We can venture into these kind of things without feeling like we're getting swallowed by them, because we know that we're choosing them and there's always an impermanence to them. So just learn from what resonates. Ask a lot of questions, but be open and, be real with yourself when you're just being fearful and stuff is coming up. If it's the ego flaring up, and if you're so lost inside of a story that you're denying something else of value that's coming up for you, you may be really deep into the galactic thing, and then, Jesus may come up, and that may be something that you need to explore in that moment, or vice versa. These things always come into our experiences for a reason. And that doesn't mean you need to accept everything, but just ask and be open. Okay. And 4, just remember, it's all about deeper connection and more love. Because ultimately, I know that's all that I really want. The feeling, it's all you really want. And that's what we're really here for. So if you want to go deeper, I do one-on-one sessions and I have mentorships. I also have 2 courses, a belief breakthrough, which is all about breaking limiting beliefs, and intuitive development. And both of these teach you processes to go deeper in your own ability and your own connections, whether you're wanting to connect with Pleiadians, to do readings, just to change your subconscious patterns, change your identity. It's a supercharged spiritual upgrade system just for you. It's a very powerful and pointed system that I've developed to help people go deeper in all this stuff. So I will leave the link for both those in the description. I hope this video helped you. And if you were a Pleiadian brother or sister, say hi in the comments. If you're a hater, you probably didn't make it this far in the video, but drop me a comment anyways, because it'll help out the algorithm. It gets me more views, and we'll keep spreading the Pleiadian energy, because I think a world where we explore, have fun, and are beautiful is freaking awesome. And I want more of that in the world. And I hope you do too. Okay. Peace. We'll see you in the next one.